Hello everyone, I'm Iman Javadi Joker. In this video, we're gonna learn Redux, of course, in React. But let me, before I start, say about what is Redux. Guys, Redux can manage states and reducers together. You imagine you wanna share your states between all or part of components. You have to use context. But sometimes you wanna manage your states and you wanna create some functions for every states. In this situation, you have to use reducer hook. But Redux solves these issues. And you can use managing state and Redux together by Redux. Let me start. How we can use Redux. For this reason, I've decided to create or develop a simple to-do list. But before I start, let me tell you, for creating or using Redux, you need two important parts or two files. First one is slice. You need a file whose name is a slice file. In a slice file, you have to write all reducers and states. And in other file whose name is store. Store actually, guys, refers to all slices which have been defined in your project. Let me show you. First, I need to create a folder for to-do list. Yes. In to-do list, I have to create 2 or 3 files. First file is todo slice.js. Yes. Second file is todo list.js. And let me create another folder whose name is store. Yes. In a store folder, I have to create a store.js. But let me change this name. For example, you can write app, because here you are gonna set some setting for whole your application. Yes. Let me first write to the slice. Yes. But guys, pay attention this point. First, you need to install Redux library. You can install this library easily. You can find syntax of install that in internet and Google. It's very simple. But because installing that is take long about maybe 2 or 3 minutes, I remove that in this video. Let me write to the slice const todo slice, create a slice, const todo slice, create slice. Yes. First you need to write a name for this slice. For example, todos. The second things which is needed to be written is initial state. In this initial state, you have to write initial value, because todos is an array for holding all item is an array. You can write a empty array. Finish. And third line, in third line, you need to write your reducers. It's very simple. Reducers. Yes. For example, for todo list, first reducer maybe is add todo. Can we add todo? Add todo. Yes. Every reducer has a state and action as well. State and action. Yes. You can write a code for added a todo or item to this todo array. You can write a state.push. Every todo has a ID. Here we can use nano ID for getting a unique ID. Nano ID is a function. You can write this function here. And after item is, and after properties, ID, here you can write, for example, text. Pretty simple. Text is can be action dot payload, and last property is, for example, done. The default value is false. Maybe you request me and maybe you ask me about payload. What is payload? Payload actually when your function on your reducer has some argument and some parameter and gets some parameter, this parameter will be saved and will be put in payload. And after that, you can use this parameter from payload. I will show you. Add todo, and after that, here we can have, for example, delete todo, state, action, delete todo. Yes. Here you can use a const. For example, todo. Instead of this, you can write as direct return states that filter t t.id. Here you can write state, action dot payload. Very simple. Yes. Here you can write, for example, a toggle state of your todo. Here, let me change this name to, and here let me change this as well. I think it's better I write todo add, and here todo delete. I think it's better than before names. And here I can write todo, and it can be toggle. Yes, toggle state and action. You can write here, define a variable, for example, todo state dot find t dot id equal action dot payload. Yes, and you can write here if todo dot done, todo dot done. Yes, I think it's finished. Yes, here we have three reducers: todo add, todo delete, todo toggle. But these are example, and you can write another or a lot reducers here. But the second, we have a file and share this file between all or part of components for sharing these reducers and state. And this file have to manage a slice for sharing between components. The name of this file is store, that I've already created that, store.js. Yes, for defining that, const. But before, I forgot that, export this reducer and this todo slice. I can write export const todo add and todo delete and todo toggle. These are actions. For this reason, I have to write todo slice dot actions. Yes. And here we have to export default todo slice dot reducer. Guys, please pay attention. This is reducer is a syntax. And this reducer refers to todo add, todo delete, todo target, and initial and state. Yes. Let me go to store.js. Yes. Store. Const. Store. Configuration. Store. Here, we're gonna refer to reducers or a slice which have already been created. Reducer, yes. Which reducer? Todo reducer. Todos is a todo slice or todos reducer. Yes. Here I have to write and I have to import this from todo slice. Todos reducer from todo slice. Yes, it's done. Now todos refers to todos reducer and todos reducers refers this todo slice. And I wanna tell you once again, a store actually manage all slices which have been created by you. And you can write and you can set a name for every slice. For example, todos reducer, you can write a name for this, for example, todos. Or you can write, for example, here, todos store. And after that, we go to todo list. Yes. Here, we're gonna create a todo list, and here we use all reducer and slice which have been created by us. Const todo slice, todo list, export. Yes. Here, first, I have to use a dispatch. That's why I write const dispatch. Here you have to write use dispatch for accessing to all reducer which have already been created. Yes. Here const. You have to write here use selector. You can write a name for this, for example, todos use selector. Use selector refers to states which have already been created in your slice, or actually todo slice. State that todos store. Todos store actually refers to these todos store. And after that, here you need to write a state for input your todo or your text. Todo. You can write, I think it's better you write text and set text. Use state empty. Yes. Here you can write return, and here you can write your todo list. Div, let me write a state for all todo list. You can write here, for example, with example 500 pixel. That it can be have a border, solid 1 pixel, for example black, and it can be placed on center of page, margin, for example 10 pixel from up, and auto from left and right. Yes, I think enough. Let me write a padding for it. For example 10 pixel, I think it's enough. Yeah, here we can write input tag and button tag for inputting text for todo. Tag input, yes, value can be text which have already, yes, which has already been created and defined. Yes, we go to unchange. Yes, here you can write set text that target that value. That's enough. Next tag is button, and click can be a function, for example handle add. Yes, you can write a value for this, for example add todo. That's enough. We go to todo list, which is supposed to be created. Div, yes. You can write a UL And here you can have a li. Yes. Yes. A span for. But let me before write a todo map todos if it would be existed. Yes. Todos that map t. Here you can write your li's. For example, li. Here we can have a span for text of todo t dot text yes t dot text span. Here we can have a span for what, for button for deleting and a button for toggle. Button on click. Here you can write a dispatch t dot todo delete. Yes, and it can have a parameter whose name is, for example, t dot id. Yes, you can write a name or value for this. Delete todo. Next span can be a button for toggle every todo. You can write a button on click. You can write here dispatch todo toggle. Yes, t dot, once again, t dot id. Yes, toggle todo. But you can write some style and CSS for separating and for a space between these span. For example, style I think it don't need for a style. Yes, here you can write a style, margin right, 10 pixel is enough, and here style, margin right, it's 10 pixel as well. Yes. Yes, I think it's completed, but it's needed to be written a function whose name handle at, yes, const handle at. You can write if text that trim handle dispatch todo add what was your text? Yes, text and finish. Yes, let me check all code which have been written in todo list. Okay, it's okay, and I think it's okay, and it's okay. We go to app.js for sharing this slice between all component which are supposed to be had. For this reason, you can write a provider here, store, yes. Here you can write this store which you've already created. Store. Okay. And here you can write your component which is needed to be had a state or reducer which have already created. For example, to-do list. Yes, here we have an error. Let me check this error. Yes, module not found. Error can resolve. To-do list resolve. To-do list in app. Yes, app is here. Store to-do's reducer from to-do list. I'm sorry for that. I forgot to write the name of a slice, to-do slice. Yes, here you have to write to-do slice because to-do's reducer refers to to-do's slice. It's okay. I think we don't have any problem anymore. Yes, let me once again. Yes, it's okay. Let me go to, yes, here you can write every text, for example, Jack. Okay, here we have a problem t.text. Yes, to-do list. Yes, here you can write this between two bracket. Okay, I think it's okay. Yes, okay. Another text can be, for example, Henry at todo. Here you can write and you can test delete todo. Yes, delete todo is done. And toggle todo. Yes, let me write toggle todo. Guys, pay attention. This done of this every todo will be changed, but you have to show in this span. For example, here you can write a style for this span. For example, text decoration, for example, or I think it's better to write color. Yes, color, for example, blue. If t dot done and excuse me, color t dot down blue, else black. I think it's better and it's beautiful. If t dot done is blue, else black. Let me check that. Yes. Toggle. You can see toggle is correct and is right, and toggle can act on this todo. Let me write a few todo, for example, rows, for example, Jack, for example, Martin, and here we can delete every, and we can write, and we can click on toggle todo. Yes, guys, you saw how can we use Redux. I think it's very simple. Sometimes you've heard about Redux. Redux is complex and Redux is difficult, but in my opinion, Redux is very simple. If you have any question, you can ask me and I can answer you quickly. Bye.